my channel. I am Mind Blown Chef. Why? Because I'm gonna blow your mind with my simple step-by-step recipes. Sit back and get your mind blown. Hamburger helper beef stroganoff. Not on this channel, buddy. Let me show you how to make beef stroganoff the right way. So let's go over the ingredients. We've got our beef chuck right there, butter, some garlic powder, sour cream, flour, cremini mushrooms. We have egg noodles. Now check this out. There's like a new thing going on that egg yolks are really bad for you again. I don't know, it seems like every month this is bad for you, that's gonna kill you, this causes cancer. Anyway, long story short, these are egg white egg noodles. Awesome. Beef stock, cream, onions, Asiago cheese, and parsley, and these are gonna be garnishes at the very end. Check it out. Okay, so we're gonna call it stove prep. So for our stove prep, we have a big pot of water getting ready to boil for our noodles. And we have a big pot right here with a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna bring that up, get that smoking hot because we're gonna sear our meat. For the chuck, this is great for stew meat, but we have to cook this thoroughly so it becomes nice and tender. All right, so first we gotta cut it, and we're gonna cut like little cubes out of it. Just like this. And that's it for that. Now for the onion and the mushroom. The onions are gonna just do a nice little dice on them. Like this. Okay. Mushroom, we're gonna just slice it. Just like that. Now, for the beef, what we have to do is we gotta salt and pepper all of it, right? And then salt and pepper. Not enough pepper here, buddy. Then we're gonna sprinkle it with flour. Now, there's two reasons why. One is when we sear it, it's gonna help create that nice sear. And the reason why you sear each individual piece of beef is because it not only locks in juices, but it creates what's called the Maillard reaction. On the outside of the meat, that browning is called Maillard reaction, and you get a nice texture and also extreme amount of flavor from that. So, we're gonna sprinkle this with flour. Make sure it's completely coated with flour, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna saute it on high heat over there. Now we're gonna place our beef in the smoking hot pan. Now, depending on the surface area of your pan, you don't want to completely cover the entire bottom of the pan. The reason being is if you put too much beef too close together, what's gonna happen is it's gonna start to steam. The moisture from the meat coming off is gonna just start to steam the meat, and you won't get that nice Maillard reaction, that browning effect on the outside of the meat. So, put the correct amount of meat accordingly, right? And then you could do batch cooking. So we'll brown these, we'll take those out of the pan, and we'll put the rest in, so forth and so on, whatever. Don't go getting all culinary school on me and start playing with your meat. Let this cook. Put it in the pan, let it sit, let it get that nice brown, and then we turn it over to the other side. So one thing I want you guys to watch out for is when you're browning the meat, yes, we want high heat, but you want to pay attention to the outside edges because you don't want any of this getting too burnt or black, the flour that's in the pan. So watch your heat. If you got to turn it down to medium, do so accordingly. Okay, so after all your meat is completely seared off, that is what it should look like. Nice golden brown on all the outside edges. Good to go. Let's go to the next step. With the exact same pot, what you're gonna do is you're gonna add your veggies to it. Now you'll notice all that fat from the beef still in there and all that sook, that's all the natural flavor that created that crust. That's extreme flavor. So you wanna keep that in the pan. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our onions and our mushrooms and we're gonna sweat all this down inside of all that flavor. Add a little tiny bit of salt and a little bit of pepper to this, and we're basically going to cook this down until the onions start to become translucent. See what I'm talking about? Look how the onions pulled up all that flavor from the bottom of the pan. That is just flavor. So check that out. Mushrooms, natural sponges, right? So what just happened right here in this pan? These mushrooms just sucked up all of that natural flavor that we had at the bottom of the pan. So once your onions are translucent, now we have to build the roux. What is a roux? Well, a roux is equal parts fat to flour. So whether it's butter or whatever kind of fat, right? Equal parts. So we're gonna roughly estimate, I'm gonna put, I don't know, 4 teaspoons. Oh my God, don't tell anybody. So that was roughly of butter. We're gonna sprinkle in some flour here, right? And we're gonna let this slowly just come together. And it's gonna start getting like real thick. And what this is gonna do, the reason why we're doing this is going to make our sauce or stroganoff thick. So it's not runny and watery. But once we've cooked this for about 4 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna slowly start adding in our beef stock. Go ahead and add your garlic powder now. The reason why we didn't add our garlic powder earlier is garlic powder has a tendency of burning. Same with garlic, has a tendency of burning. So you wanna put it in now. Now we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna add our beef in there. All the juice that came out, just go ahead, put it in there too, right? Don't waste any flavor. Now we're gonna slowly add our beef stock in here. And we're basically sure that all the beef is completely covered with this stock. If your sauce starts to become thick, which it will because of the flour that's in there, the roux, you can go ahead and you can add a little bit more water to it. You can add more beef stock if you'd like, but we've already got such concentrated flavor in here. Go ahead and add a little bit of water and adjust accordingly. We're gonna let this cook until the meat's tender, so it's probably gonna take roughly about 40 minutes. So you're gonna have to keep an eye on this because the flour is gonna naturally keep thickening. Don't add too much water, just enough to keep it at like a, I don't know, not a gravy consistency, but more on the like loose, saucy consistency the entire time it's cooking. So you will have to add a little bit of water as we cook this down. So keep the consistency majority of the cooking time like this. It's basically almost like a water. And in the last roughly 15 minutes, we're gonna let it just come down and then it's gonna get nice and thick. So you should still have left sour cream, cream cheese, parsley, and noodles. We are going to put in the sour cream and the cream towards the end. The reason being is you're simmering the beef over there at a very low simmer, right? So if you put in the cream and the sour cream, those are naturally gonna wanna break on you and you're gonna be left with like a curdly looking creamy sauce at the end. It's not gonna look creamy at all actually. It's gonna look nice and curdly. So we don't want that. So put those in last. The cheese and the parsley, like I said, they're just gonna be a nice garnish on top, right? A little extra touch to make it extra sexy. So let that cook, simmer, don't boil, simmer it, and we're just gonna let that meat get tender. 40 minutes, no problem. All right, so we're just wrapping up our beef. We only got about 10 more minutes left. Go ahead, add your noodles to the water. You're gonna let those cook for about 5 to 7 minutes. Very important, you always stir when you first drop noodles into water, therefore they won't stick, and you'll have individual noodles and you won't have one big blob of soft ball of noodle. Stir your noodles when you first drop them in. All right, so our beef is done. Now is when I take a couple spoonfuls of sour cream, and then I drop in some cream. We're gonna mix all that together and just have it ready. We're waiting on the noodles. All right, there it is. Mind-blowing beef stroganoff. As promised, I hit it with those sexy touches. Put the Asiago cheese on top, the parsley on top. And you know what this is? Sexy.